think we're live. Hopefully,
What?
everybody out there can hear me in internet land. Hi, internet land. Can you?
Hello, Internet.
Hopefully, you can hear John as well. If not, let us know in the comments on the Twitch. Those watching us on Facebook, I will not be able to reply to anything because I can't see Facebook at the moment. So just come on over here to twitch.tv/Ix Studios Cleveland. Anyway, hi.
Hi.
I'm Andrew. This is John. Hi, John. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm the other way. You got to turn the other way.
Okay, the other way.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay, now I can see the stream.
Yes.
Perfect.
Excellent. Monono says he is receiving our transmission. Life is good. I'm Andrew.
Awesome.
I am from Ix Studios Cleveland. Check out my new hat.
Nice hat.
I know, right? We have gear now. I'm a bit softer
Fancy.
than John. Story of my life.
I'm always the hard
I
one.
know, I'm always soft. Daddy. So yeah, we have merchandise. I have hats. Check out our new mugs. Oh, coffee tastes better in that mug than anything else. So yeah, down below, buy merchandise, get us money, let us continue streaming so we can make it a full-time job.
I mean, I guess if I move out, sell my house, and live on ramen, I may eventually be able to pay my bills with this. But
I will have the finest.
I don't think so.
cardboard homes.
Yes.
Anyway, so John, how are you, buddy?
Well, living the dream.
Yeah, that's good. So something came out recently.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, I had my second album, Apocalypse Eve. Came out, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
The 15th.
Time has lost all meaning, so
Yes.
I don't know.
In our strange pandemic. Pandamit. Oh, I like pandamit.
Pandamit.
It's called pandamit.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it speaks to me. So in the lovely pandemic era, hopefully my mic's louder, by the way. Yeah, we put out an album for you. It's been crazy. So let's start with you.
Me?
You. This whole thing is about you. So let's
Oh
talk
my
about
gosh.
you. So
that'll be
I know, right?
ripping.
Let me put on the hip waders first.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Me. I am, let's see. I am presently a musician in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I don't actually live in Cleveland, but anybody that lives anywhere near Cleveland just says they're from Cleveland, because if I say Lakewood, you'll think I'm from Colorado and not Ohio, since that's the most famous Lakewood. Let's see. I don't know what else to say about myself.
That's good.
I just noodling on electronic music for fun, and
So how'd that all
web
get started?
developer is my day job, and see, music. I can tell you the moment that I knew like music was something different. I remember my parents were divorced, divorced when I was like 2 years old or something. So I've never actually known them together, but I would spend a lot of weekends at my dad's house, and I'd always go through his record collection and listen to his records sometimes. And I remember it was when I put on, he had a copy of the album Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and I put that on, and I didn't understand it. I think I just put it on because it had a dude with a sword on the cover.
Right.
And, I was a D&D nerd and a sci-fi nerd at that time. So dude with sword equals, sure, listen to it. And I had no idea what the fuck I was listening to. I mean, I don't know that my 12, 13-year-old brain was quite ready for Black Sabbath yet at that point. I think I was still listening to my Star Wars records as entertainment at that point. But that was the moment where I listened to something and knew, like, there's something more to music than just my Star Wars soundtracks. And, whatever, Hall & Oates or whatever I was listening to on the radio at that point. And at that point, my love affair at that point with heavy metal began. I was a total metalhead teenager. Got into the nascent thrash metal scene in the 80s, back when bands like Metallica and Slayer used to play, dive bars and shit like that. Back before they all got big and famous, and I didn't. I tried. I played in a number of metal and punk and hardcore bands around here in Cleveland up until, I don't know, late 80s. And I realized I graduated high school and realized, well, I'm actually an adult now and not so sure this music thing's going to pan out. I think my plans to be a rock star are kind of over.
Amazing how that dies so quickly. Like as soon as you graduate
Yeah.
from high school, like if I'm not a rock star by the time I'm 18, I'll never be one.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I gave it till I was 19,
Okay.
maybe 20, right around there. So I think it was, 19, 20 years old when I finally decided this isn't for me. And I need to give this up. It was actually a particularly heinous road trip with my band at the time, a band called Face Value, who went on to actually, they got signed
Yeah.
and had some success without me after the fact. They were somewhat mid-tier known hardcore band, or were. They've been broken up for a long time, but we had a particularly bad road trip, with, our tour bus that was a shitty rusted out van. We drove to, God, where do we go? Albany, New York for a show. I think we opened for Integrity and like Sick of It All or somebody like that. But the drive home was in a blizzard through, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, in a van with the passenger side window that didn't roll up at all. So, got back from that trip and says, this sucks. Like I slept in an amp cabinet last night because we can't afford a hotel room, and driving hours and hours and hours in a blizzard in a van with a window that doesn't close. And I was like, I'm done.
The glorious life of a rock star.
I had a vision of the rest of my life if I continued to try and be a musician professionally, and decided to walk away. Then I actually did nothing musically for quite a few years. I noodled around with my old Atari ST here and there with some of the sequencers on that. I got into, right around that same time, I discovered somebody played me an old Skinny Puppy record, Cleanse, Fold, Manipulate. It was actually, I think, was the one that had just come out at that point. It wasn't even an old Skinny Puppy record then. It was the new album, because I was kind of bored with, thrash metal wasn't spooky and scary and rebellious anymore. It was just everybody going, ooh, Satan, Satan, and trying to sound like Slayer all the time, which was boring. And somebody played me Skinny Puppy, and I was like, oh, this is really fucked up. Like, this is nice and subversive and creepy, and this is what I wanted. This is what I want out of music, something that disturbs me or challenges me mentally, and metal wasn't doing it anymore. So then I went deep in the industrial rabbit hole, which I think everybody that lives in Cleveland at some point probably gets into industrial for a little while.
Especially in Dan Kushner's eyes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It doesn't help that we're most of the people from Cleveland he knows, but yeah. Got into the industrial thing for a while, tried doing some music of my own back then. I didn't do great with it. Didn't help that I didn't have very good gear. In fact, back then, the old Yamaha keyboard that's sitting right here was my only keyboard, and there's a shitty Yamaha RY10 drum machine down there, and trying to make industrial music with an SY35 and an RY10, it was terrible on an Atari ST. So
I think everyone was making industrial music on an Atari ST.
Back then, absolutely. That was
the thing.
That was the computer to have back in the day. Oh, yeah. It came with MIDI ports built in. Yeah. It was amazing. You didn't have to buy a MIDI interface. It was ready to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's where, the original version of Pro Tools was a ST exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. So actually, that's where a lot of Logic was originally. What was it called before it was Logic? I'm totally blanking.
I can't remember.
It might have just been called eMagic, mm-hmm. Something like that. Yeah. And they called it Logic when they decided to branch out. But anyways, let's see. Noodled around with that for a while. Boy, this is going really detailed.
That's what we want.
Kind of tapered off for a while again, stopped making music for a few years again. This is kind of a recurring thing too. Every once in a while, I just get disillusioned and stop for a few years. But the itch is inevitably there, and you always come back. So you can't go away. No matter how many times I've tried to quit, it's like a bad heroin habit. You just keep coming back. Actually, a heroin habit would probably be better because it would be cheaper than buying all this gear.
Don't know what you're talking
about. And I got together with met our mutual friend, Mr. James Overholzer. Mm-hmm. through work, and turned out we went out to lunch as like a team, and he had stopped at the record store before that, and he had like this new Frontline Assembly CD he bought. I was like, dude, you're into Frontline Assembly? And then we bonded over the music, and us and our late friend Rick, who actually rest in peace, Rick, and happy birthday. Today was he was born on Halloween, which if none of you guys knew Rick, but him being born on Halloween was perfect for his personality. We all kind of got together and started building a little studio and decided to start making music again. That's the point where this K2VX that's over here, the only two keyboards I still own. We got that at that point. Actually, at that point, we went out and we found out what Trent Reznor was using. So we went out, we got a copy of Opcode Studio Vision. We bought a K2VX. We bought a Nord lead. And then we started to supplement it with some other gear after that. But our base was what's Trent using to make his music? All right, cool, let's do that. Started noodling with that, and ever since then, I've kind of tapered off for a little bit again. I put out a bunch of music independently. I guess this would have been early 2000s. There's a ton of stuff out there. Back then, we decided we were going to do our own little internet net label and release our own stuff. That label was actually called Information Tray, which is taken from a line from the movie 12 Monkeys. So your processes are all fucked up. Your information tray is jammed, man. I don't know why that resonated in our heads, but we kept, like, anytime one of us did something stupid for years, it was your information tray is jammed, man. So of course we decided to call our label that, and that label kind of dissolved. None of us were really putting anything out for a lot of years. So then I decided when I started making music on my own again and started building up my massive empire of dirt here, to quote Trent Reznor.
Wow, look at you.
Needed a name for the project and didn't have anything I liked. And I thought, I wonder, I could probably use that information tray name. And, met with my friend Jim, who was the other surviving member of that trio. And he's like, yeah, take it, run with it. We're not using it, so go with it. And that's where that started. Then you started the X thing, and you were like, hey, I'll put it out. I'm like, cool, let's do it.
Woot. So your first
album
album
today
came out last year.
Yep.
And that was Machine Yearning.
Yeah.
And that was a result of a nightmarish event called RPM Challenge.
Yeah.
Where folks that don't know what RPM Challenge is it's a kind of like National Novel Writing Month, but it's for writing an entire album during the shortest month of the year. Because someone thought that was a good idea.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. No pressure.
No. Yeah. So that was one of those things I remember when we were first, you did it in, I'll say like maybe 2016 or something was the first year you did it. And you were talking about doing it again. I was like, oh, what the hell? Maybe I'll give it a shot. And I think I remember telling you, I was like, there's absolutely no chance in hell I'm going to write an entire album in 1 month. I will probably not even finish a song in a month. Because, at that point, it had been probably going on 10 years since I'd actually completely finished a song. I was still, noodling in the studio all the time, but I was just never focused on actually trying to finish anything. And I still had a lot of that bad mindset of, like, everything had to be perfect and, like, over polishing it. And so never finishing anything because it was never quite right or never quite good enough or whatever it was. So it's like, I'm going to fail miserably at this, but let's do it anyways. And I ended up not only doing it, but going into overtime and writing more songs than was even necessary to, quote unquote, meet the challenge. So got on a roll and just kept going. And yeah, I think there was 6 songs on Machine Yearning. I think at least 4, maybe 3 or 4 of them were from RPM. And a couple I did after the RPM challenge, because even after the month was over, I took a month off to actually finish producing and mixing those songs, and then was like, I still got a lot of juices are flowing, the blood's pumping, so I just kept cranking and writing more stuff. And some of that is on a couple songs that I think are on Apocalypse Eve now, and then some of it ended up on that Machine Yearning. Some of it will probably end up on my 3rd album, because there's still I think there's still 1 or 2 tracks I haven't released yet from that first year that I do want to release eventually. So
nice.
Yeah.
I think that's the nice thing about RPM Challenge is it does force you to just fucking let go and just take care of business, and that's it.
Yeah, that was huge for me. It was just You have to finish this now because otherwise there's not enough time to keep going. So you just crank it and roll on to the next thing, because it turns out my brain has a pretty much unlimited amount of ideas in it if I keep pushing it. So if this doesn't turn out quite how I expected it, oh well, throw it away and go on to the next one. It's also made me less afraid to just delete something if it's not working,
Right.
rather than continuing to try and beat my head against a wall and make something work because, I wrote this, I should be able to make this work. Well, no, it sucks. It's okay. Everybody writes songs that aren't good.
Yeah.
Even, Trent Reznor or whoever, Vince Clarke, I'm sure, has written a stream of bad songs, or Martin Gore, or insert name of artist who has an incredible catalog that you admire here. They've all written crap.
Yeah.
So
sometimes Martin Gore just puts it out anyway, like that album of just
like that album he did with Vince Clarke.
Yeah, or the one he did after that by himself with all the
Oh,
modular stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it wasn't. Oh, yeah, that's also not great.
God.
But
Hey,
but he's got that career of Depeche Mode albums that are all
so he's still
absolutely fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I feel that like those kinds of artists will literally say, "I bet I can fart into a microphone and people will buy it."
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just reading an interview with Mike Patton of Faith No More, Mr. Bungle fame, among other acts. Mr. Bungle actually just put out a new album yesterday. It's not a new album. They went back and re-recorded their first demo they did when they were in high school. They were talking about it and how much their label was ignoring them when they were putting out records. He's like, at one point we were actually seriously just going to record 45 minutes of white noise and give it to the label and see what they do, because we were like, we know they'll just put it out because they're not paying attention to. They don't care about us. We're not important. They just take whatever we give them and put it out. So let's see what happens. And that would have been probably the most Mr. Bungle thing they ever could have done. Sadly, they didn't do it. But yeah,
it's like was it Metal Machine music?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. John Haynes, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate it. Yeah,
so
Lovage
it was really good.
Is the best Mike Patton band.
What's that?
Lovage.
What is? I'm not sure. I've actually heard that one.
Yeah, Lovage is the best Mike Patton band. Womber reminded me that he says it's a good Patton band, and I say that it is the best Patton band.
I don't know how I've missed that one. I'm usually pretty good at.
I'm sure if you heard it, you would recognize some of the stuff. But yeah, look it up.
Yeah.
I think their one album is called "Music to Make Love to Your Old Lady To."
So. That sounds like a Mike Patton thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm an absolute Mike Patton fanboy. So.
Oh yeah. Talk about Lovage. It's nothing like anything he does, which is probably why I like it.
Yeah.
So the new album, Apocalypse Eve. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So where did this come from?
I'll say actually a lot of the songs on that are from the following 2 years of RPM challenges. There's a couple mixed in that are from other time periods, but sadly the last 2 years it seems like most of my writing time has become RPM, and then I don't write anything again for a long time. This year a lot of it was because I was really focused on getting my jam rig set up so I could start doing some jams, and I've been throwing a lot of my creative energy into that. And also I just, with the pandemic brain, the pandemic, I haven't been like feeling super creative, or at least enough to sit down and try and write an album. So, or proper music, but the jam thing is different. But anyways, I digress. This was kind of assembled from, a bunch of other stuff from RPMs that I hadn't released yet. Which is kind of my style. I just write shit until, I'm not like Justin where I have like a grand vision for an album and sit down and write the album and have, concepts for each song. And it's basically, I just sit down, fire up Ableton and start tapping on the push until something comes out. And, once I get enough songs that I feel like fit together as a cohesive unit, or a cohesive enough unit to make sense, put it out, So.
Well, the good news is that I'm not going to ask about the deep meanings of each of these songs until we hear them. So that gives you a little bit of time to come up with some good bullshit answer about what each song means.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Which I used to do.
Yes. Well, now you
back
have.
When I was.
You have like
independently releasing my songs. You know, I had a little music blog and everything that I did,
Mhm.
and I sat down and went through which a lot of times, I mean, I'll admit my song titles are just something I hear somebody say, and I'm like, ooh, that'd make a cool song title. Put it in a note on my phone, and then use it later or whatever. But I would then come up with a way of sort of what do they call it? The God, my brain has stopped working. Where retconning.
retconning.
That was the word I was looking for. I knew it was retro. I was like, retro something? No, retconning. Kind of retconning the title into saying, no, that's really what this is about.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is, and then elaborating on the title and saying, yeah, that was about this. No, it wasn't. It was, that reactor patch sounded really cool, so I made a song around it.
Well, the nice thing is you have a little over 6 minutes to figure out what this first song is about. So we're going to play that now. And the first song
Okay.
off of Apocalypse Eve is not a Depeche Mode cover, but it is called I Feel You. So we're going to play that here on Ix. So here we go.
Woo.
Let's play. Yes, I'm assuming here. Right? Yeah. It's magic. Yeah, right now I'm using my Mac Pro for everything for the stream because Magic freezes the PC after a little while. Now I know this works here. So. So that was crazy. That was I Feel You by Information Trey, who's my guest today here at Ix Studios. Ix Studios artist, Information Trey, because Ix Studios isn't a person, it's a label. But yeah, so tell us.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. It really is, with hats and stuff and mugs.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about I Feel You.
Oh, it's a happy, uplifting song.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of those happy accident songs. I wrote that, started writing it like last summer. New version of Ableton Live had come out, 10.1. One of the updates in that is they added the ability with their wavetable synth to use any arbitrary audio file as the source for the wavetable. So, of course, I'm sitting around playing with that one day, mostly just dropping in like drum loops and drum sounds and, trying to sound like Martin Brinkman or Richie Hawtin or something. And, and I said, I wonder what would happen if I dropped a vocal sample in here. So I just went to the vocal sample folder in Ableton and just grabbed a random sample. It was actually a sample of a house diva doing like an I Feel You kind of one of those like house diva things, and dropped that in there, pushed the key, and it started doing what you heard at the beginning of that song, that super fucked up, creepy I Feel You thing that I was like, that's really fucking cool. I have to make a song out of this. And it all just kind of rolled from there. I just then started, I was like, found a nice angry sounding drum kit in Ableton and distorted the hell out of it, and it all just kind of rolled from there.
It's definitely got a nice, like, punchy craziness.
Yeah.
Wambra says it reminds him of ASRX. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either, but cool. What was I going to say? Most of, I think almost everything on this album was all done in the box because, believe it or not, when I wrote all this, I didn't have all this crazy gear that you see on my streams now. I think at that point that I wrote all this, I still had just a machine drum and a triode, I think, was the extent of my gear. So I didn't have a whole lot to work with. So it was all done in the box. And I think when I'm kind of actually trying to write songs, I will probably still often stay in the box. But so this track, I think almost all the percussion in it is all just drum racks that came with Ableton. I mean, of course, I process and tweak the hell out of everything. But yeah, so it's mostly drum rack stuff. There is, right around the same time, I think the new version of Massive from NI had come out. So a lot of those sort of weird incidental little fill synths and noises and things like that, a lot of that is Massive. There's some Reactor in there. There's, of course, that the Ableton wavetable that's doing that creepy vocal thing. And I think that's about what I used on that. So yeah, I could make up some shit about what it all means, but
tell us the depth.
It was an accident, and that sample happened to work and sound really cool and creepy, so I ran with it, and because that's what the sample said, that's what I called the song. So there you have it. That's the mindset behind that one.
So there you go, folks.
I played around with some other titles for a little bit, but nothing stuck. Another way, and I'll probably point this out on a couple of these tracks. Another way I actually sometimes get song titles for something, if nothing on my giant document of cool song titles seems to fit, a lot of times I'll just play off of one of the patch names that I used. And one of the drum racks I used on this is called Merkin, which I was like, what can I play with Merkin that would be really funny? But I couldn't come up with anything.
Well, Merkin kind of sells its own joke, really.
But it could have just been called the Merkin or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like,
Santa Merkin.
Yeah, I have a lot of the working titles of my songs tend to be pretty goofy and jokey, and I think I mentioned it when we were talking about the first album. Like the last song, Robot Boy, was originally called Tony Basil Cosplay because the drum beat totally sounds like the drum beat from Hey Mickey. So, and there's I know I had a song called Riding Trent Reznor's Dick at one point, and actually that's on this album. We'll get to that later.
I think I know
the Riding Trent Reznor's Dick. Its song is later on. Yeah, you know exactly what song I'm talking about. But anyways, this one, the working title was always I Feel You because of the sample, so I just went with the working title on this one.
Nice.
Usually they're more descriptive about the thing that goes with the bleepy synth line or something like that. It's usually just something dumb like that helps me remember, well, what the hell song is this? Which one is which? But anyways.
Awesome. So quick couple shout outs here. The False Prophets, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that.
Ooh.
John Haynes asks, when will the X Studios range of facial scrubs be coming out? We don't have any plans right now for facial scrubs. Personal lubricants, however, might be coming out soon, because you never know when you need to get into a slippery situation.
I could actually, I could use an X facial scrub. No,
We'll need to come up with something then. I'll have our lab.
Actually,
I'll have our lab
really
take a look at that.
We need the X face mask.
They're available on our store.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
I didn't even notice
Yes,
that.
they are.
Oh, all right. I'm going to have to get one of those.
Oh, yeah. Yep. They're quite fashionable.
I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the hospital at the end of the year, so
That's true.
I'm going to need a nice comfy face mask.
What better way to celebrate the birth of your child than by pimping out my label?
Absolutely. I can tell all the doctors and nurses in the delivery room all about the X Studios. Go buy all our albums.
About the finer points of electronic music production.
Yeah.
Listen to my Dauntless Jam.
I want to. Nah, man, DAW for life.
You should totally bring like a little modular set into the room.
Yeah, I was going to say I should try and buy my Deluge before my wife goes into labor. That way I can just take it with me and
sit there and jam. You got it, hon.
Sit there and jam out some beats out while you're on this. It's pushing time with the music. It'll be good.
I like John Haynes. Like Lubix would be the name of our personal lubricant. I kind of like that.
Oh, I like it. Lubix. I do. That's good.
For relaxing times, try Lubix. I have to come up with better. That's kind of stealing that from something else, I think.
That's right.
So, should we do a giveaway?
Let's do
a giveaway, folks. So, lucky y'all, we are giving away some of Information Trey's albums today. So, we're going to do the first one is going to be giving away his first album, Machine Yearning. And you're going to get a download code if you win. If you want to sign up for it, you have to be over here on Twitch. You have to be following me, and you get an entry for that. If you are subscribing, you get 2 entries. Easy peasy. So that's how that's going to work. So hopefully that's how it's going to work. This is Streamlabs. So we're going to go ahead and start the raffle. It'll be about 5 minutes on the raffle if this does what it's supposed to do. And who bloody well knows, really? I don't see it starting. Oh my God!
Come on.
This is why I cry.
This
is why I cry. All right, let me see if I can just go into Streamlabs and start it manually. Sorry, folks. Give me 1 second here.
Doing it live.
This is like college radio. Like everyone's like, I'm signing up for it. Like, just kidding.
No. Hold on.
Hang on.
Slow your roll, guys.
We're almost there. I'm a professional. Usually I just randomly pick people. But that. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to push the start giveaway button. Okay, it has started. So, ! Raffle, start now.
Hey, there it goes.
Okay, there you go. So, if you are a subscriber, you get 2 entries. If you are apparently I was going to do something involving Spice Trout at some point, but I don't do that anymore. I'll fix that eventually. God, I'm a pro. Anyway, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. While this is going, we're going to go ahead and play your next song, Outspoken Lucidity, here on X Studios.
Sweet.
So that was a bit more chill than the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was me on my little sort of minimal techno vibe. Um, all right, let's see. What about this one? This one was one. This was actually written after last year's RPM
Okay.
challenge. This was one of those post RPM afterglow or whatever you want to call it, where I still had all these creative energies flowing and just kept writing after I finished. I was like, I'm just going to keep writing shit. Um, this was actually about, I think, a week or two after RPM, sometime in March. If my that's another thing I also do is I date my songs when I as another way of file naming. But yeah, this was I think I kind of originally my idea on the second album was I was going to kind of go. I kind of wanted to put out a minimal techno album. I thought I'd do a whole album of sort of minimal techno stuff since I had a couple of songs in that vein from each previous RPM that I wanted to release, and thought, all right, I should write some more of this kind of stuff. And obviously, did not end up working out that
See how
way.
that worked
But
out for you.
yeah, not. But you know, it's a good way of kind of bouncing the mood around a little on a song, on an album. You know, I finally decided that putting out an album entirely in one specific genre or style is kind of boring. You know, who wants to listen to just minimal techno for 45 minutes? You know, I love minimal techno, and by 45 minutes, I think my brain would be checked out. So, you know, it's nice to have some dynamics and different moods and things and
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely.
So, you know, there's still some stuff that I've, you know, written in during that time period that probably be on the next album or the album after that or the album after that. I mean, who knows? Whenever I get around to finding a place for it in an album, it comes out. But well, let's see. Production wise, this is another one. I think all the percussion on this is Ableton drum racks. That's actually how I kind of start writing most of my songs. Is I just call up a random drum kit in Ableton and start like tapping out little beats. Um, you know, the having the push has made that so super easy because you can just tap out a beat and then you do their sort of you know, it's record new is the shortcut. I think it's called capture in Live itself, where it's like where it's just basically always recording MIDI in the background, whether you've started recording or not. So you can do that to just capture everything you just noodled. And if you do it in a new file, it also does tempo detection and will set the tempo of the song to whatever beat you were just tapping out. So it's made a super easy way to get started on a song. If I have no other ideas, call up random drum kit and start tapping on it until something sounds cool. And if something doesn't sound cool, find a different drum kit and lather, rinse, repeat until something comes out. Then start layering on top of that. You know, so not, you know, don't do that every time. Like I said, the last one was a little different story, but this one was sort of made the usual method for songwriting. So started with a bunch of Ableton drum kits and ran from there. Other than that, there's some some of the Arturia plugins on there. I know I used one of the Reaktor instruments on this one. Actually, that pad sound that's on there is using the Form instrument from Reaktor.
It's very pretty sounding.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like that one a lot. I think that's about it. I don't know how much there is to talk about on this one. This was one. All right, song title on this one. This is one I had no idea what to call this. Actually, the patch name for the Inform for that pad sound was called Lucid Dreams. And I originally thought, oh, I'll just call it that because that's kind of cool. But Lucid Dreams or Lucid Dreaming sounded a little too basic. I was like, that's kind of lazy. It's like, what else could I call it? And I kept, you know, brainstorming, and the lucidity, you know, tense of the word kept coming into my head. And of course, that meant that Silent Lucidity from Queensryche kept popping into my head. So I thought, all right, well, what's the opposite of silent lucidity? It's outspoken lucidity. So there's your song title. There's the deep meaning behind this song.
Amen.
It's the opposite of the Queensryche song.
There's a Missile Command song that was literally written with lyrics looked up on Google. So
yeah, that actually reminds me, like, way back in the day when I was a recording engineer for a couple of years as my job, which, you know, the fact that I'm not doing that anymore tells you how well that went. But as part of that, we also had, you know, in the off hours when there was nobody in the studio, we could, you know, any of the engineers that wanted to could go into the studio and use it for their own use. And there was a point where I wanted to put together a song real quick. I don't remember what are the industrial bands at the time. This would have been God, this was maybe mid 90s, early 90s, I think. I don't remember. I think it was ChemLab. We're auditioning guitarists, and I needed a demo of me playing guitar to send to try and audition for that gig, because back working in the music business, I had these fantasies that maybe I'd try and do the rock star thing again, because I would have been such a big rock star as the guitarist for ChemLab.
Because ChemLab's huge.
But anyway, so we went into the studio with me and one of the other engineers there, a guy named John Denny, really talented guy. He had a band called BFE here in Cleveland for a while that were kind
I
of
think I played with them once.
kind of the angry industrial thing and everything.
I think I played with BFE.
Yeah, this would have been actually I engineered some of the sessions on their album. Brought him in because I wanted to have some vocals on the track, and also to kind of help me finish producing the track, because he's actually a very talented producer. Last I heard, he's like works in Nashville or something as an actual full-time producer now. But anyways, and he needed just to get him to sing something over it. He ended up taking he opened up a random magazine that was in the waiting room in the studio, and basically rewrote the text from an ad for like a Nissan car or a BMW or something, and basically changed everything about the car to be about like something demented or perverted, or there were some lines about like the leather seats, and then I think he changed it to like your leather mask or something like that. And basically that's how he wrote the lyrics for the entire song, was by paraphrasing some random car ad from a magazine.
Inspiration strikes us from anywhere.
Yeah. That's how the song ended up called "Stop Thinking," because the ad title was "Stop Thinking and just buy a
Nissan,
BMW or a Nissan or whatever the hell it was." I don't even remember. But anyways,
it's a great idea.
So yeah, you get your lyrics from wherever you can get them from, or your song titles from wherever you can get
Absolutely.
them from. I wish I could write lyrics and vocal melodies, because a lot of these songs, I have a number of songs that have, like almost like a verse chorus structure to them. I was like, man, I wish I could sing or write melodies or do any stuff, because be perfect on this
do
song.
What I do.
But
pass it on to somebody who can.
Yeah, I should.
We know people.
Maybe as time goes on, and as we get out of the pandemic, start bringing people in here to record. Maybe I'll start trying to find some vocalists to do some stuff here and there. Cool. Several songs in this album I think would have been fantastic with vocals, but some of the stuff like this Outspoken Lucidity, these little minimal techno tracks don't really need it, but some of the other ones do.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yep.
So let's hit the next one up here.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So the next song is called Drained of Form. Speaking of interesting song titles.
Yeah.
Let's go and check this out here at X Studios. Yeah.
Whoa,
Drained of
that
Form
was noisy.
by my
Yeah,
guest
that was
information tray here at X Studios. So let's talk about um yeah, I kind of feel like asking you how how you're doing there. You okay?
yeah, I'm feeling
Okay, cuz
great.
that was a little bit that was kind of like a punch in the dick.
Yeah, that was yeah. That was, I don't know, my tribute to Autocrat, I guess. I don't know what the hell that was. That was that was the, I think the first song I wrote in RPM 2019. First or second. It was very early on. Actually, I think it was the second, and I think the first one I didn't finish and hated it and came back to it and finished it after the fact. But um, that was another one. Started off with just banging on drum kits in Ableton, and ended up wasting like an hour of my time trying to figure out why it didn't do the tempo detection correctly and why I couldn't get the loop correctly and why nothing was working right. And then I suddenly had this realization, oh shit, I just wrote a drum beat in 3/4 instead of 4/4, and that's why nothing will loop correctly. And once I figured that out and changed the time signature, I was like, okay, this works now. Okay, I get it. Because my old musician brain, I guess, just thought 3/4 or something. I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So that one started off with that sort of noisy beat at the beginning, and I just started layering in chaos on top of chaos on top of that. It's another one. Most of the percussion is Ableton stuff, including all of, like the weird trash can noises and shit like that. Was all surprisingly from Ableton kits. There's some stuff from like the Arturia collection. I use that a lot too. There's some noises and stuff in there that came from I think like the CMI plugin or something like that from the Arturia thing. There's some Reactor in there. Recurring theme. I use a lot of in the box Ableton stuff. I use a lot of NI stuff, particularly Reactor. And lately I've been, I bought that Arturia analog collection or whatever they call
Oh
it.
yeah.
So I use those a lot, since I can't afford an actual like ARP 2600, but I can use the fuck out of the one in the Arturia
They
suite.
sound
So
great.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And they sound fantastic. So I use them a lot. Um, all the crazy glitchy shit was there's a Reactor ensemble called The Finger. And that's one. It works kind of like Stutter Editor, one of those tools where it just maps effects out over a keyboard. So you just randomly bang keys, and it makes things go haywire like that. So it was basically me sitting there banging on keys and making things make horrible noises over a rough arrangement. And I was like, all right, that's a song. It's done.
Yeah, I've usually used that on vocal effects, but like not on the
Hmm,
vocal, but on the effect. Then I'll stutter edit the
hmm.
effect and make some weird shit
Okay,
with that. It's kind of a fun.
I say that sounds cool. Yeah, ooh, I like that
Yeah.
idea. I'm going to play
Oh
around
yeah.
with that. Coming up on the third album.
Lots of
That.
that shit.
Yeah. After that shit. Because yeah, that's the other thing too is I find something cool I like and I kind of just keep
Oh
running
yeah.
with it. So uh, yeah, I have a list of. That's another one of my random text document files of list of things to avoid that I catch myself keep doing it. Like for a long time, every song had a basic 4 chord progression that were all one measure each, and it's like, and I'm kind of still doing it, but
Guilty.
this is one of the ones where I broke out of that, and it's okay to still do it once in a while, but when every song has that same basic, like, here's 4 chords on a pad played in the background thing, it's like, oh God,
I
stop
don't
doing
know what
that.
you're talking about. I never do that.
Now I
I
just
always
do
do
2 chords all the
it. Yeah.
time instead.
I mean,
Yeah, I do it
I
all the
mean,
time. So
I'm writing mostly
yeah,
like synth pop, so you're gonna get that. It's
yeah,
part of the formula.
yeah. It's one of those ideas I got from the awesome book that Ableton published. What's it called? Like Creative Strategies for Electronic Producers or whatever the hell it was. That Dennis just this book, and that was one of the ideas in there. Is first of all, make notes of any kind of interesting ideas or techniques or anything you ever think of. Sit down and listen to other people's music and make notes of things you like. So you've got a document full of things to maybe if you get stuck, you can open that up and say, "Ooh, yeah, that's right. I wanted to try, stutter edit on an effect on something like you just mentioned." Try that and do it. Or you also make a document of here's things I keep catching myself doing over and over and over again. Even if they're good or bad, it doesn't matter. It could still be good, but something that you catch yourself overdoing so that you remember, okay, this is a crutch I keep going back to. Don't keep using that crutch. So,
That's a good point.
you know,
Yeah, I have a
anyways.
copy of that. I just need to read it.
Hmm. Yeah, I keep it on top of my my speaker up here in the studio. So I pull it down every once in a while if I get stuck and just flip to a random page and start reading. And sometimes an idea will come out to help me finish a song.
That's
so
a good idea. I like that.
yeah, I think it's a great book. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
I wish there were more books like that out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it was definitely
You know,
kind of like
there's so much that kind of stuff for like writers and artists and stuff have all these like writing prompts and things like that. I wish there was more like that for, you know, writing prompts for musicians or something. I don't know.
almost gets like
That'd be cool.
yeah, Brian Eno-ish with his like oblique strategies thing, you know. Where he
Oh yeah, I've also got an Oblique Strategies app on my phone that
there
I
you
use
go.
sometimes
So
to
you can get
get stuck. I'll fire that up, and I've actually got my own. That's another folder I've got in the Notes app. I've got a whole folder that's just my own oblique strategies that I've written. When I get stuck for an idea, you know, it's sometimes dumb shit like reverse something or something like that. Like, oh, cool. That's actually. I remember it was this.
Record the color red.
Was it the?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Mine tend to be a little less hippy dippy than some of the Brian Eno creative oblique strategies. Less oblique, I guess.
More strategic.
Yes. Less on the oblique, more on the strategy, but either way.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's
So-
always been kind of crazy. So folks just joining in, thank you for hanging out with us today. This is Ick Studios, small record label out of Cleveland. I'm Andrew. With me today is Mr. John Coleman, also going under the act name of Information Tray. We're going over his new album and talking about breaking things down track by track, and we'll be giving away a copy of the new album here in a little bit. Do a real quick shout out to Wambra for winning a copy of the first album, Machine Yearning. So good job on that one, Wambra. So keep your fingers crossed for the next one. So let's talk. Let's not talk. Let's listen to Capacity, the next track on Apocalypse
Let's do
Eve.
it.
By the way, if you would like to purchase a copy of this, and who wouldn't really, you can just go to ixstudios.net, ixstudios.net, where Information Tray and many other fine Ick Studios artists have their material for sale. It's also available on all the usual streaming channels and purchasing off of iTunes and Amazon Music and everything like that too. So in the meantime, here is Capacity here at Ick Studios off of the Information Tray's album, Apocalypse Eve.
makes us feel sick all over. Sometimes we clench our fists or bite our nails. Often we feel as though we were like kettles filled with steam. The angrier we get, the stronger the pressure inside of us. We must find some way to let the pressure out, 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 the pressure out,
Well, that was a banger.
Woohoo.
So,
let's see if that sounds like angry 90s acid techno. It's actually not far off. This is actually a very, very old song. I wrote this back in 2002.
oh wow.
So this is 18 years ago I wrote that song. Well, I wrote a version of that song. This was mentioned earlier. My friend Jim and Rick and I kind of got together and built a studio back in the day. You know, our We Wish We Were Trent Reznor thing. This was later on into things where we kind of. So this is actually one of the rare cases in this album where it's almost all hardware. There's very little software stuff on this. The 909 sounds are an actual 909. So Jim owns a 909. I've tried to get him to sell it to me, but he won't. But and I don't blame him. He paid like $1,200 for that thing 20 years ago, and you can't get. I mean, I can't imagine if I found a 909 for $1,200 today. I think it would probably not work.
Yeah, right.
You know, so that's so yeah. Everything except for the crash symbol is from the original 909. I added that. This was a song I said I wrote this back in 2002. It was when I kind of. There's a handful of older songs I think that when I listened back to them, I was like, this is actually pretty good. It's, you know, the mix is terrible. There's some, you know, maybe some production things I could do to change it or something like that. So I had a project one year where I dug out all my old computers and stuff and tried to resurrect as much of that old stuff as I could. The sad truth is most of the source files for a lot of my old music is, you know, dust in the wind at this point. Unfortunately, a lot of it's gone. And some of the stuff I could find was made using, you know, soft synths that don't exist anymore or something like that. So it's, you know, a lot of it's unrecoverable, but this is one of the ones that was because it was all done in hardware. So I actually had to print everything to disk. So yeah, percussion was a 909. That little crazy bass sound, that's a Roland MKS 30.
Nice.
Which then ran through an Electrics filter factory. If everybody remembers the old Electrics devices, I think Jimmy still has both those devices too in his studio, as far as I know.
Wow. I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, I layered the I tempo synced the LFO on the filter factory and applied it to the cutoff and kind of layered the two together to get that sort of pumping sound. That is the 303 sound is a 303. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, that is the only remaining recording of my 303 from before I had the Devilfish mod put on it. I only ever wrote 2 songs with it before I sent it off to get the mod. And the other song is one of the ones that's lost to time, unfortunately, because it was written and recorded in a really old version of Digital Performer. This was like, pre Mac OS 10. So this was back in the old, I don't remember if it was OS 8.5 or OS 9, but this was back in the days of like resource forks and data forks and Performer recorded in Sound Designer 2 format back in that day. So I have the audio, I have the files, but because they're these old, outdated Mac OS 8 or 9 files, the resource forks from them are long gone, and I have yet to find anything that will extract the data from the data fork on a Sound Designer 2 file to try and resurrect that. So that song is gone forever. So to my knowledge, that was the only other thing I ever used the 303 on before I modded it. So, but yeah, that is this 303. The weird little vocal sample and the kind of the pad sound that comes in and that whole break and all that stuff, the stuff I went back and added, because the original version of this was super repetitive. It basically just did that same thing over and over again for 5 minutes. So that pad sound is, funny enough, as I just mentioned, the ARP 2600 plugin from Arturia. I layered that in, and then there was some random film I got from archive.org. I think it was called like Don't Get Angry or something like that. Some old infomercial movie from school from like the 50s or something about teaching kids how to control their tempers or something like that. And seemed to fit with the title, the song title, Capacity or something. I don't even remember where that song title came from because it was, 18 years ago when I wrote this. So, but yeah, I was able to, this is one of the ones I was able to rescue and piece back together. So, and I liked it. And I think I improved it a bit by adding some of the stuff I did and kind of rearranging it. So it was a little bit, I've learned a lot about arranging songs since then. Basic method back then was sort of the Plastic Man method of just keep adding things until it gets really, really busy and then take a couple things out and then end the song.
It's a lot of,
because I was no good at actually arranging, getting any kind of like flow or mood to a song or anything like that. So I think this one was just balls out for 5 minutes of, occasionally dropping the kick drum out or something. But I think that's about all I did, and tweak the 303 for 5 minutes. So,
well, that's 90s techno, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, but I was able to kind of take some of the arrangement skills I've gotten since then and kind of make it flow a little bit better and roll with it. So, yep.
Very cool. Yeah, I like it. It's good. I said it was definitely more of a banger kind of sound to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I could see that. I almost busted out my big pants and my pacifier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Total 90s rave song.
Almost.
Yep. I mean, that's what we were into back then. Yep. So, I think I was still listening to like The Prodigy and shit like that a lot back at that point. So, as that was my bridge from industrial into electronic music, and then I got into shit like The Prodigy and Orbital and bands like that back in the 90s and early 2000s, and then right around the same time started getting into all the Detroit techno, and here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy how much like everybody was into the Detroit techno or the industrial.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dudes that were doing the Detroit techno were into the industrial a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like the people actually creating in Detroit and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, Richie Houghton used to drop like Nitzareb songs and shit in the middle of his DJ sets. So yeah, well, totally. Yeah, I think they're pretty open with a lot of old industrial being influential on a lot of the stuff they were doing.
Yeah, it's good.
Basically, disco and industrial, I think, were the big influence. And house
and Kraftwerk.
Chicago house kind of came up a little bit before Detroit techno. Or actually, no, they were probably right around the same time. Now that I think about it, because Charivari was like what, late 80s, maybe early 90s. I don't remember.
No idea.
Fuck if I know.
I'll
Anyways.
maybe the Chicago people can answer that question, but I don't know. Anyway,
Right.
so let's go on to the next song here. It's called Memories Crowd. And during this song, we are going to be giving away a copy of your new album, Apocalypse Eve. So I'm going to start this. I don't know if it's actually going to work, but I am paying attention to people that are hitting exclamation point raffle to enter the raffle. So if it doesn't work, I still got you covered. We're doing random numbers from there. I have a random number generator named John Coleman. He doesn't know who I've chosen with those numbers. So either way, make sure someone's a winner. You're going to win a copy of Apocalypse Eve, the new album by Information Tray, which we're listening to. And here is the one that we're going to listen to now. It is called Memories Crowd here at Ick Studios. That was Memories Crowd by my guest today, Information Trey. You can win the new album, which we're listening to right now, in the raffle that's going on right now. You got a little under 35 seconds. ! Raffle to enter. You must be following me, and if you're a subscriber, you get 2 tickets.
Oh.
So,
Nice.
what's up with this one there, John?
So this one, let's see. This is another 2019 RPM song. I actually wrote this one right after Drain to Form, so I got done with crazy Audica shit and decided to do something a little more chill. This was one of those songs I wrote with as I mentioned before, my original intent of maybe putting out an entire album of minimal techno. This was one of the songs that was going to be part of that, but it was, felt it was good enough to and kind of fit with the flow of the album and everything. So I said, we'll toss this one in there too. Give you 3 guesses what kind of drum sounds I used on this one.
I'm going to guess Ableton.
Yes. Again, they were all some of those songs I think I started with used the good old safe technique, because particularly during RPM, it's important to just keep rolling. So you don't want to get too crazy and experimental when you have 4 weeks to write an entire album.
Right.
So this was, banging on drum racks and Ableton, and something came out, and I think everything else is I think this is all Ableton and all the Arturia stuff. Like, I think that's it on this. Back to no hardware, all software again. We were talking a little bit while that was playing. Me and Andrew here were talking offline. I was wondering, like, as I start getting back into songwriting again soon for future albums, I'm curious how much I'm going to use the hardware, how much I'm going to keep doing what I used to do, what I've always done in the past, and that's pretty much in the box, also almost all software, with occasional bits of hardware. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but at this point it was still all in the box. So
I think that's half the fun, though, as you get more into this kind of thing, and as you start expanding your hardware, you start looking into the idea of maybe I can start using for more than just jams and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, it might take years, but it could still happen.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can see that might potentially hold me back from using the hardware as much is I'm very super ADD, so I tend to work on 10 things at once, and that's unless you're ready to, particularly with couple of these synths that don't have like patch storage or anything, like you got to be. Unless you're ready to print it to disk, it's hard to hop back and forth between songs because you end up losing the patch. Or, if I'm in the middle of writing a song and I do a synth and I do one of the monthly jams or weekly jams, or however frequently my jams end up being, I could fuck up everything I had set up on the song. So we'll see. Yeah. I don't know.
I think, though,
the hardware, I like the way the hardware sounds better a lot of times. And I think the tactileness of it is, encourages a little more exploration and digging in, and a little less like, here's the preset, this sounds good, EQ it and maybe tweak it a little, a little more apt to dig in there and really mess with the sound and not just use a preset, which is a bad habit.
You mentioned that that Ableton does that live recording thing. Does that do that with audio too?
It does not.
But it is MIDI though.
Does with MIDI.
You can still kind of work with that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, even still, I would be doing all my writing within Ableton. Just using the hardware, sequencing it from within Ableton to do all that.
That's what I do. Yeah.
It's just more, if I've got a really cool sound called up on the mono station or the 303 or something like that, if I bounce off that song and back over to it later, whatever sound that was that I had at that point, unless I've recorded it, is gone.
No patch storage.
I mean, I could, do the poor man's patch storage and, take a picture with a phone.
Done that.
Which I've done on a few occasions on some of these things, but.
So the mono station doesn't have patch recall?
It does. Okay. But it's assuming that I was working off of a default patch.
Right.
Or however much I've tweaked it from there, it may not be what the original patch was anymore.
Okay.
Because that I tend to kind of tweak on that one a lot. Actually, all these newer analog gear, it's so much fun to twist the knobs and see what happens that it's hard to not do so. You know, even though a lot of them are still starting off with a preset, you know, even on the jam sessions, it's so much easier to find a nice sound really quick when you're trying to hurry up and improvise something while people, you know, you've got 30, 40 people listening to you that call up a preset and then just tweak it really quick and make it sound cool. So,
well, it's like when we were doing Spooky Action at a Distance, you know, there was a time when we were trying to synthesize live, and that got old really quick.
I bet.
Because no one wants to hear you tweak a knob trying to find the sound you want. So we kind of pre-game that after a while.
Yeah.
You know, and just like we just figured out like patches beforehand, and then melody. And that was it. You know, what key is this thing in? Done.
Yeah.
So the song name, where does that come from?
That one, this was one of the ones that was from my random text doc of song titles. And this is one of the ones, actually, I'm pretty sure I remember where this came from. I think I was reading, jumping completely outside the electronic world, I was reading an interview with Slipknot vocalist Corey Taylor after their bass player had died of an overdose a number of years ago. And he sort of wrote a little eulogy to his I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It's terrible. I don't remember the dead guy's name, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I know. He's not their bass player anymore. Who cares? But and he had a line in there, something about you know, memories of you crowd my brain every day or something like that. And I was like, ooh, that's a cool line. And then I kind of shrunk it down to memories crowd, just to kind of make it more succinct. And I was like, ooh, yeah, I like that. I'm going to put that in my little document here, and maybe I'll use that one day. And that was one. I was going through the document and said, does this sound like any of these titles? Hey, yeah, I'll use that. Cool.
Nice.
So there's my my deep meaning behind this song and my thought process.
Perfect.
It's a eulogy from the dude from Slipknot. Yeah.
It works.
That's about it. I think I already mentioned, another RPM song. So
awesome.
That's where I do most of my songwriting these days.
Same here. Yeah. Happy or sad, whatever. I mean, we still do the jams and everything like that. That's on time. So the next one we're going to be doing is Barely Breathing.
Okay.
So y'all take a listen to that one here as we continue on the adventures of checking out and taking apart Information Tray's new album, Apocalypse Eve, here at Information Tray? No, we're at X Studios. Where the hell am I?
I don't know. Bleh. Sure. I get it. No problem. All right. Cool. Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, that last Synthfest jam, it would have been nice if somebody asked, like, hey, why is your sound so compressed? Yeah. No,
Barely Breathing. So I think that you guys
Yeah.
would probably hear John talking this entire time because I'm not muting him. Like I
Whoops.
said, I'm running this thing at a professional level right below college radio station. So like high school radio is basically what I'm doing here. Flying by the seat of my pants. So if you want an unpaid position as a producer at X Studios, let me know. Oh my God. Terrible. So
Oh, well. Shit happens,
Indeed.
you know?
just roll with it.
Yep.
Barely Breathing. Let's talk about this song.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Let's talk about this one.
Slow.
This is,
A little groovy.
yeah.
A little sexy.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Yeah, this is another one of the ones that was part of the abandoned all minimal techno or minimal electronic album that, you know, made the cut and stayed on there. This was actually from this year's RPM. And this one is actually, looking down my patch notes on this is entirely Ableton. All the it's actually, I think, just 2 kits out of Ableton, and all the synths and everything are all from built-in Ableton instruments, you know, analog, collision. There's incidents of operator in there. So this is all as in the box as you can possibly get. This is all just shit that came with Ableton.
Nice.
So, you know, yeah, written in a hurry because it was RPM, and this year's RPM I had a real rough start. I think it was about a weekend, and I think this was the only thing I had finished. And I think this was coming into, like, it's been a week and I haven't got anything done yet. So just cranked this out. I think this is one of the ones I like. Usually I will, for RPM, like I'll write the song one night and then arrange it the next night and then call it done. Because that's really all the time you've got to do anything. Then you come in after the fact once the month is over. I know we both do this. Some people consider it cheating, but I don't. But you come in after you get it to what you call the demo state during the month of February. Then you come back after the fact and you do like a more thorough like production pass on it and, you know, a better proper mix. You know, a lot of the songs I had all kinds of little drum fills and more transitions and, you know, little risers and shit like that aren't there. Oh, this is one song, if I recall correctly, this is, other than the mix, this is as it was written, and it was all done in one day. It was just like it came out, I arranged it real quick that night, and says, all right, that's fine. And then came back to it to finish it later on. I was like, you know what, this is fine. I like this how it is. It's minimal, and it doesn't need a lot of little fills and random shit thrown in there. Just leave it as it is and roll with it. Clean up the mix, and it was done.
Do you find that you work faster if you're just using the Ableton stuff, or because you're less digging around, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that was. I think in this case, there was definitely a part of that. You know, you get that option paralysis that we always talk about when you have too many options. So you just don't know. You can't pick anything because there's too many choices. So I think this one was just, if I don't finish something soon, there's no way I'm going to get to finish this RPM challenge. So I just stuck within Ableton and didn't try and dig through, you know, opening up Reactor and spending 45 minutes to an hour browsing patches to find something I like, and then tweaking it for another 45 minutes after I find the right patch. And then, you know, that kind of crazy shit. It was just get in there, find something that sounds good, and just roll with it. So this was a very much a roll with it song. Just, you know.
I think it definitely helps having that familiarity with the tools, or if you can just jump in there and blast something out really quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, and especially when you have the push, it's so much easier to just stay in that mode with the push, because like all the built-in Ableton stuff, you can browse all you can add a new synth, browse the patches for all the synths, all of that right on the push. So it's so easy to just bury your nose in it, stay in that mindset, and just, I mean, that's what it's designed to do, is just rapidly iterate on ideas. So by not getting outside of the Ableton box in this case, it let me hurry up and rapidly iterate on the ideas that I was having, and just, you know, crank out an entire song in a day, which, you know, I think there are only 3 instances where that's ever happened during RPM, where I did the entire song all in one pass in one day. 2 songs, and 2 of which are on this album, one of which will probably be on the next one. So I think I'm finally going to release it. But
Nice.
yeah.
So where did
Song title for this
Yeah.
one, the one of the pad sounds, the patch name is called Barely Breathable. So the song title was called Barely Breathing.
perfect?
This is when I had nothing else. So I was like, all right, let's see. What are some of the patch names on this? Maybe that'll trigger an idea. And I was like, oh, yeah, that works. That's my, again, my deep thoughtfulness when it comes to my song titles and my songwriting.
Nothing wrong with it.
Bang on the push until it turns into a song, and then name the song after one of the synth patch names.
Sometimes there's something to be said about like having random titling like that and letting people come up with their own interpretation. I'm not saying that so you should stop telling us what it's about. Stop telling us what it's about. No. I'm just kidding. No, it's just sometimes it's better that way.
Yeah, people can read into it whatever they want. I mean, like it's kind of, and that's kind of what I did when I mentioned earlier, where I was just, I don't remember if we talked about this on the call or before the call or when this was, where I was talking about how I would just, when I was blogging my music and would just make up some nonsense reason as to why I called a song something when it didn't mean anything. That was kind of me, imprinting on it what I took from random song title,
That makes sense to me.
But, this can mean whatever you all out there listening want it to mean.
Right.
I don't know.
When I used to,
And it kind of worked because I was kind of drowning at that point, and as far as RPM went, I was barely breathing because I was drowning in no ideas. I had nothing starting off RPM this year. I was like, oh fuck, I'm finally going to fail this year. It's not going to happen. Never going to do it, but
it's
I did.
difficult sometimes. I think that's half the fun of RPM. And folks that have just tuned in recently and don't know, RPM Challenge is a online thing like National Novel Writers Month, where you write an album's worth of music in 28 days during the month of February. So it's either 10 songs or 35 minutes of music, whichever comes at that time. And so it's an interesting way of creating and spending 28 days spazzing out about it and panicking. It's fun.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to do it one of these days.
I recommend it. I said it was after having not finished a song for about 10 years before that, suddenly I'm cranking out an album a year since I started doing it, so it gets you over that hump of getting stuck on trying too hard to make ideas that don't work or trying to make everything perfect or whatever it is. It gets you to like hurry up and get it done. And yes, Indigo, you can write 10 songs that are 30 seconds each if that's what you choose to do. I will openly admit this year's RPM challenge, I got myself over the final time limit, which, what is it, 35 minutes? Is that what it is? I did a 7.5 minute ambient noodle thing to put myself over the limit and say, there, fuck it, I'm done.
That.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, theoretically you could just create a big like 45 minute like textural modular synth patch and just let it run for an hour and say, there, I'm done with RPM challenge. But
if that's
to me, that's kind of ruins some of the fun of it. But I try not to quote unquote cheat, but sometimes if you're just like this year where I had a really hard time with it, it was, and I think I still wrote another song after I sort of did my cheat to hit the time limit. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I did it. All right, what the hell? I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Like the Plasma Blackout album, that was all done with this RPM challenge. And that was same kind of thing. It was just like 35 minutes. I think I did it in 12 days because I decided to book a concert for that band. So I had to write it, and then I had 3 days to practice it and then play out. And then Lori had to work, so I just did instrumental versions of everything.
Rough.
Never fucking do that. It was terrible. Fuck.
It was an aggressive schedule you set yourself.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Right at the beginning of a pandemic. Feeling like the world's going to end, so I'm going to write an album about that. It's happy music. Anyway, speaking of happy.
Speaking of the world about
Apocalypse
to end.
Eve is not just the name of the album, but the name of the next track. Yes. So let's listen to that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. And then we have one more song after that, and we'll be doing a giveaway.
2. Oh.
Do we have 2?
2 more songs.
Apocalypse Eve, One Dirty Hand. Oh, we do.
Yep.
You're right. I didn't.
And Isla.
Yes, I didn't create a thing for that. I'll make one real quick while we're listening to this. So, anyway, Apocalypse Eve.
Anyway.
If you're from X Studios. That was Apocalypse Eve, off of Apocalypse Eve by Information Tray. Available from X Studios at xstudios.net, as well as all fine streaming services and iTunes and those digital purchasing places. We'll be giving away the entire Information Tray catalog very soon. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about this song.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one we're kind of breaking the mold on this one. Believe it or not, I did not start this one by writing with Ableton drum kits. In fact, looking down the patch list, there's one of the piano sounds is from Ableton and everything else is not. This is percussion sound is real. Actually, I leaned on Contact for this one a lot. Used the libraries Damage and Kinetic Metal. Those two Contact libraries is where a lot of the sounds come from this. So, that and a little bit of the, I think I used Pigments, I think is what I used for the pad sound, the Arturia synth. So yeah, this was a little bit of an angry, noisy kind of deal. I believe the working title for this one was Iron Man's Birthday Party. Iron Man is in Tetsuo, not as in Tony Stark.
The only Iron Man.
I believe the working title for this one. Yeah, of course. This one is also has one of the other instances on this where there is something that is not software, actually used hardware on one element, that hardware being a guitar. So did actually might be able to see it behind my head here. I dug out my my crazy 8-string guitar and chugged out a little Meshuggah impression in the background there, and then proceeded to hate it and chopped it up into what you actually hear on the song. It was original version of this had much more prominent guitar, but it was I think it got too busy when there's too much guitar, so I kind of went in and spliced up the riff and turned it into something that was completely different than what I originally wrote. But I think fit the song a lot better. Kind of conceptually, this felt very apocalyptic, so that's kind of where I started thinking of ideas around like, it feels like the world is about to end as it is. Out in the real world, I feel like we're on every day feels like we veer closer and closer to the end of times. So I was like, will be a good title that would kind of reflect that idea. This is one where I actually kind of thought about the title a little bit, and that's started playing around with different names. I don't remember what all the different working titles were, but Apocalypse Eve ended up being the one that kind of stuck. So I was like, and I liked it enough to make it the album title too.
And a great album cover too, by the way.
Yeah, that was that is actually that parts of that album cover are Halloween decorations in front of our house right now, because those are like styrofoam skulls from our Halloween decoration stash, and some old rocks we had laying around in our garage, and I just kind of arranged them into this little post-apocalyptic scene with this little construction face mask that I had. And yeah, it's funny, up until a couple weeks ago when we put out our Halloween decorations, that little diorama was still sitting on the floor of my garage. So like if some random person had ever broken into my garage, they'd have like wondered what the fuck is this guy doing. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then post-processed the hell out of it after I took the picture. But yeah.
It looks great though.
Yeah, it was fun. It was the first time I'd gotten my my camera out and done any photography in years, which kind of missed it. So
it's especially compared to the first album, which is very like Illustrator-ish.
Yeah. Also started as a photo, but the phallic plug in the front was a photo. The rest of it is
phallic plug.
Yeah, but I used a program called Processing that does kind of generative art to create the generative spooge in the background on the first album. So.
Perfect for the name.
Or as my mom considers it, paint.
Yes.
Those are paint splatters in the back of your album cover. Yes, Mom, that's what it was meant to be. Paint splatters. I'm sure she's not, but who knows?
Never know.
She is. Hi, Mom. Sorry for the semen.
So is she.
Damn it, I should have told your dad to pull out. What the hell? Would be putting up with your shit today.
All these years later.
Anyways, oh boy.
So,
51 years later.
We have a giveaway that we're going to fire up. And as we fire it up, we're going to be jumping into the next song called One Dirty Hand Washing the Other. So this giveaway is for both albums. So Wambra, don't enter. You already got them. Everyone else who wants to enter, I'll fire it up. It is !raffle. It'll show you, hopefully, when I start it up. So we'll fire that up. We'll fire up the next song. It'll be fun here at Ick Studios. Here is One Dirty Hand Washing the Other. And that was One Dirty Hand Washing the Other. My guest,
Indeed.
Information Tray, John Coleman. New album, fresh from Ick Studios. You're welcome, everybody. We have about 3 seconds left on the timer for the giveaway. All right, and it's over. That's it. Let's pick a winner, shall we?
Let's do it.
Squirrel, you have won. Congratulations,
Woo.
Squirrel. Yay.
You get all
You get
my shit.
everything.
All two albums.
Yeah, all 2 albums. So,
That's two something.
Squirrel,
It's more than I ever thought I'd actually release.
Squirrel, I just PM'd you your prize. So congratulations. An excellent collection.
Yes.
Oh, Indigo. I even said it.
Oh, man.
It was lurking. Well, next time. That's all I can say.
Sure, this won't be my last album. There will be plenty of time after my next album
Yep.
comes out next year, hopefully. Yep.
We'll have 3 albums.
Plan to keep doing these. Not stopping anytime
Yes.
soon.
It'll be great.
Still got more than enough backlog to put out another album if I wanted to. So, yeah.
By next week, Information Tray's 3rd album will be out. Oh my God, I have to be on this show again. That's what it's called, right? So we are going to go over a little bit over the 2-hour mark. Just because we have another song to cover. So do you want to talk about this song a little bit first? One Dirty Hand Washing the Other?
Yeah, remember earlier when I said I had one of the songs in this album, the working title was Riding Trent Reznor's
Yes.
Dick? That was this one. Shocking, right? Oh, it's funny. This one actually, this is one of the ones that actually took longer than 2 days to finish. It was an RPM song. This was from 2019 RPM. As I left it the first night, it was kind of closer to like a little minor key synth pop song. Didn't have any of the guitars or the live drums or any of that shit in it. It was just kind of a, skippy little ditty. And then I came back to the next day and I was like, this needs something more. And then that's where the guitar and the live drums and everything. Oh, they're not technically live sounding drums. I am not a drummer and I don't have a drum kit. So that is actually the Native Instruments Studio Drummer tool that I use to do the live drum beats for that. Added all that in and made it all Trent Reznor.
Definitely. Sounds like that. Mixed with the Pixies.
So, yeah, that was... I also did kind of the Pixies quiet, loud thing. Or for you young kids out there, the Nirvana thing where you go quiet, loud. That was just him imitating the Pixies. But anyways.
This one does.
I'm not old. You're old.
Get off my fucking lawn.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Tone-wise, there's some Ableton drum racks in here. There's also there's some battery kits in here. A lot of the Arturia stuff. I use the ARP 2600 and the SEM from Arturia on this a lot. And then the live guitar stuff. So
nice.
Pretty
Sounds
cool.
good. Which guitar did you use for this one?
I don't remember.
Excellent.
One of the ones back there. I don't know.
One of the...
Probably my old Ibanez.
Nice. I don't know anything about guitars.
But it was either my old Ibanez or my Jackson Soloist, one of the two. So, for anybody that cares. And Bias Amp. Bias Amp 2.0 was I used a software amp simulator because I live in a house with other people and I can't crank up amps really loud and record them that way. So,
makes sense.
Next best things to do it in software. Sure. Do it in the box. Even the guitar is a little bit in the box. So
understandable.
Cool.
So Squirrel won everything. All the things. Congratulations, Squirrel. You won both the albums, as well as a dream date with Information Tray. I'll let you two figure out what that means.
Yeah. We'll schedule it.
That sounds good. So we have one song left. I'm sorry I didn't add it on here. It was open and everything. It was late when I put this together. So I apologize.
That's all good.
So this last song, what's it called?
Isla.
I want to make sure it was because my pronouncements would have been like Islay. So Isla. So it's the last song here.
That's how I pronounced it. It's after a region in Scotland, and I pronounced it that the first time. The first time I pronounced it that way to a Scottish person in Scotland, I was quickly corrected. So I learned how to pronounce it real fast.
I bet you did.
The dumb American.
Well, Now we are no longer dumb Americans either. So this is Isla, final track, the closing track on Apocalypse Eve by Information Tray. Let's give it a listen. That's Isla. Oh, that hiss at the end is lovely.
Yeah, that was one where I sent it to the mastering engineer. It was Adam. I had to say, yeah, all that hiss, that's supposed to be there. Don't filter that out, please. I intentionally added that. So
let's talk a little bit.
I was going for I was going for kind of a, old Detroit minimal techno kind of vibe with this, and that was a hallmark of that era of music, as it was always very noisy because they, used a lot of shitty gear and shitty mixers and shitty recording techniques, and just none of them knew what the hell they were doing, even though they ended up making some amazing stuff out of it. But, they were using what was considered at the time to be garbage disposable instruments like TR-909s and TB-303s and all these shitty plastic synths that they got for $80 at the music store that nobody else wanted. And nobody taught them about noise gates or anything like that. So everything was super noisy. So I was like, all right, to really embrace the Detroit minimal techno of this, I need to add some noise to this. So
makes sense.
Instruct the mastering engineer to please do not remove the noise.
Shout out to Adam Boos, Cauliflower Audio. And the last interview I did on here was with him. So you can go back to my YouTube channel and you can check him out. He's a fucking awesome guy.
Yes. This was the last song I did, the first RPM I did back in 2018, whatever that was. That was the year I kind of, I got to the 35-minute mark after song like 7, I think. And there's still like a week left. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to keep going. Let's see if I can do 10 songs and 35 minutes. And this was the 10th song. So this one was another one of those rare ones where I wrote it, arranged it, and more or less finished it all in that one night. Which is nice, because then, when I hit the old command Q to quit live at the end of that night, I was like, I'm done. I was like, all right, I'm going to not look at anything related to music making for about a week. Then I'm going to come back in here and, start mixing all these songs and doing that last production pass and all that. But yeah, it's kind of closed out that month. So, it felt like a good way to close out this album. Sure. Originally wasn't on there, but it felt like the album dropped off too much after Trent Reznor's dick on the previous song. It felt like a little bit too much to just hit that out and drop. So I kind of wanted to have a little, closing credits, if you will, at the end of the album to kind of take it out on a light note. Also another one, the back when this was a minimal techno album only, this was one of the minimal techno tracks that was going to be on there. So this one's production-wise real heavy on battery. A lot of the drums is actually a drum kit that Apparat of Moderat fame built, and it's in battery. So that's where a lot of the percussion came from. There's a bunch of there's some instances of Massive in here for some of the synth stuff. The old version of Massive, not the most recent one. A little bit of Ableton stuff. So yeah, more all in the box. So nice. Yeah. And the title, my drink of the night when I was writing this was I had a little dram of Ardbeg Scotch, which is from the Isla region of Scotland. So I called the song Isla. It was originally the working title, and I decided just to keep it.
It works.
That works. It's like, that's fine.
Those that not in the know.
Everybody will call it Islay, but
it's
that's
Islay.
fine.
Yeah.
Nobody else will know how to pronounce it unless they're from Scotland or have been to Scotland.
John Haynes will be able to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
He should be impressed by the fact that you impressed it correctly, that you did it. Oh. I don't know. Be impressed, John. Both of you.
It's like going to New York and knowing to call it Houston Street. Be impressed with me.
Going to Massachusetts and know it's called Worcester.
Worcester. Yeah. Exactly.
Not Worcester.
So
that's it.
But there is to talk about that, and that's the
great album. I say
Thanks.
It's a fantastic album. Best one to come out in October. Available for purchase at ixstudios.net. And available on all fine streaming services and Apple Music and iTunes and all other places. Amazon, Deezer.
Yeah, I was going to say Deezer and some of those other fucking weird services.
Weird ones. I don't know. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today, John.
Absolutely.
So next week I'm going to do something, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm threatening to do a deep dive of the Korg MS-2000. Or I might just do a jam. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't played with the modular lately, so maybe I'll do a modular jam. A 3-hour Dallas jam. With special backup by my dishwasher. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, again, everyone, thanks for watching. I should raid out to somebody. Does anybody have anyone to raid to? Because I only have the owls, I should say. And that's it. So if you guys want to watch the Owl House, which is literally an owl house, I can do that. But if someone has someone else we can raid to, then they need to give me the actual name of the person I'm raiding to. So, all right. Doesn't look like anybody cares. Fine. So you're all going to the owls.
Owls it is.
Off to the owls. Hoot House. I love it's called Hoot House.
Hoot House. That's fantastic.
No one? All right. I totally did that wrong.
Whoop.
Oh, ADXL2K? Is that someone that's doing something? All right. I swear to God, Romper, if this is just like that one time, I can't raid that channel. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. Get ready, everybody, for some hot Owl House action. Anyway, thanks again for watching. My name's Andrew. That's John. We're both from X Studios, and we'll see you all out in the internet.